have a confession. We've never watched Lost.
Now, we're tired of hearing about it, so we're finally watching the hit TV show for the first time.
Come along with us to the island.
And please stay close by because
we're so lost.
We need to stop following him. He will kill one of them. We're also rewatching the classic ABC TV series Lost. I'm Bill Meeks.
And I'm Anne-Marie DeSimone.
And we're back for another episode.
Guess who's back?
Back again. We're So Lost is back.
Tell a friend.
Tell all of your friends, please.
Tell somebody, please.
Tell iTunes especially.
I didn't check today.
I did. We don't have any new iTunes reviews, which makes us sad. If you'd like to go over to iTunes and review us, we'd appreciate it. We got to get some steam going on this thing. You know, we are officially today halfway through the season 1 on We're So Lost. Can you believe that?
It feels like we should be further.
Well, it has been 9 or 10 months since we started the podcast, but we did the one episode. Well, if you
ignore the one episode, it's been 3 months of solid. Mm-hmm. So, I guess we're right on track.
Yeah, we're on track to finish up the first season by the end of the summer at least.
Oh,
sure.
easy
peasy.
Easy peasy.
But you know what? Tonight
squeezy.
We're talking about season 1, episode 11. But before we talk about it, we want to go over our spoiler policy, right, Anne-Marie?
Yes, of course. Okay, so you might be familiar with our other shows where we love spoilers. We welcome them. We drink them in as our lifeblood.
We do entire episodes based around spoilers.
Spoiler parties, if you will. However, for Lost, since literally everything could be a spoiler, we don't want to know anything. We want you to not tell us if we hit the nail on the head with a theory. If we're like, man, I wish I knew about... Don't tell us, oh, you get that next week. Be like, you know what? That might be coming up. Yeah, you might get an answer.
You can do general stuff like, exactly like
you'll get an answer.
You might get an answer.
Don't tell us what the answer will be. Don't tell us who's bringing it. Don't give me a timestamp. I don't want it.
I mean, even if we say, man, I really hope that Charlie goes to Candy Mountain, you can be like,
Charlie!
You can say, well, you'll really like next week's episode then, if Charlie goes to Candy Mountain the next week. And by the way, I forgot to mention, as usual, we're broadcasting this live over at youtube.universebox.com, and you can join in the chat at live.universebox.com. Unfortunately,
it's just us.
It's just us tonight. We might have some people hop in there during the thing, but always keep an eye out on our Twitter at We're So Lost.
Because that's where Twitter, Facebook, that's where we post these things.
That's where we'll announce when we're going live with the show.
And I just realized I didn't Instagram today. Whoops. Sorry, y'all.
That's where all the chatters are.
That's where the chatters are. They're on the Instagrams.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and give us the rhyming episode summary, and we'll get started talking about this Western-themed episode.
Okie dokie, smoky jokey.
I'm smoky jokey.
I'm smoky joker. That John Locke sure is a smarty. He organizes a lost rescue party. Will they find Charlie and with child Claire before Ethan leads them back to his lair? Jack's gonna need the rest of the tissues since all the best cowboys have daddy issues.
All the best cowboys have daddy issues. Yeah.
Wow, that hurt my ears.
What'd you think?
That's the worst title of anything I've ever seen.
It's a mouthful. It's definitely a mouthful.
The episode, however, made me cry.
It made you cry?
The first time I watched, when I was just watching it to watch it.
Did you put in the notes what moment made you cry?
I don't need to put it in the notes.
Why don't you tell us?
You want to know?
I want to know.
Which Charlie wasn't coming back to life because I didn't know that.
Well, you thought Charlie had died and gone to Candy Mountain.
You know, I did. I thought he went off to Candy Mountain. No, I again, we don't look into spoilers in any way, shape, or form, and the struggle is real, man. Because IMDb is dangerous because it tells you how many episodes people were in. But I was just watching, going, no. He's my favorite character. Last week, my 2 favorite characters got dragged off by this wild man.
And now one of them's dead.
And now one was dead.
Hanging up in the tree like a creepy scarecrow.
We'll get into that. Okay, yeah.
If Charlie was the scarecrow, who's the Tin Man?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know who the Wicked Witch is, though? Maybe.
Ethan.
Maybe. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about this week is Ethan's deal.
What is Ethan's deal?
His whole deal. Well, Ethan's deal, it's a little confusing to me because, okay, first of all, the big question for me is how does he lug two adults that far in the rain, especially without, I don't know, harming a pregnant woman or something like that? So it leads me to wonder, is he supernatural?
2024.
Did he have help? Like maybe did
I wanna be sedated.
did the other others pitch in? Is Ethan Batman? Yeah.
No, he's Superman.
The one kind of clue I got in this whole thing is that when he's talking to Jack and at the end of the episode last week, he sounds almost robotic in some scenes, which is why I did the robot voice up at the top. And he also seems very, very strong when he's fighting Jack. So I'm thinking,
Yeah, he really did.
I'm wondering, maybe is he a cyborg or an android of some sort? I mean, there could be a supernatural element, but maybe he's more natural.
There's many a supernatural element.
But I'm saying maybe Ethan is more natural than we're led to believe. Maybe he's a product of technology. Maybe he's augmented somehow.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
It's an idea.
It's a thought.
One other thing I was thinking about Ethan's whole deal.
This deal.
Call me crazy, but I'm starting to think maybe Ethan might not be the bad guy here.
You're crazy.
Okay, thank you for calling me crazy because I asked you to.
You're welcome.
You followed through on my request. I appreciate it.
I follow directions.
Okay, so I was thinking, as the episode was going on, I was like, kept thinking, why does he want this baby so much? Why does he want this baby so much? And maybe the reason he's so concerned with Claire is that he knows the baby will die without some sort of help with the natural childbirth and everything. Maybe he's concerned.
How does he know that?
I'm saying, well, maybe he's concerned with the baby's safety, and maybe
then approach and say, I'm concerned for the baby's safety. Don't stab a pregnant woman in the stomach.
But maybe him and the others have other means to make sure that she gets through that labor safely. And the French woman, the whole reason she has this conflict with the others was over a kid. So maybe there was a similar situation there where they were trying to give the baby a safe delivery.
No.
I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just saying the possibilities there that maybe we see him as a villain.
Yes.
And he's actually trying to help. Because, I mean, that's been a common theme so far in this season is that, you see people one way and then you get the reversal later on. Like we saw Sawyer as an ultimate bad guy. And then he kind of has a decent person kind of moment in this episode.
He does. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we definitely will talk about that later. But, in one big argument against this, I know, is Charlie in the Tree, Kissing.
There was no Kissing.
But maybe he knew that Charlie would survive that.
No,
somehow.
Charlie barely survived it.
He did barely survive
I had given up on Charlie. I'd have stopped beating on his chest. I don't know.
Maybe he could have had some sort of drug that made him appear dead, hunt him up in such a way that it wouldn't actually hurt him too bad, besides like the neck burns. And maybe this was all just a means. Maybe he didn't want to kill Charlie. Maybe he just wanted to send a message to Jack that he was serious and they needed to back off. And he has his own reasons for that. Ethan has his own reasons for that. You don't agree with me
I think you were completely delusional.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe.
This point brought to you by the Society of Redeeming Ethan.
No.
In the eyes of viewers.
Wrong.
No, but I was just I was so hardcore for especially my first watch through in the episode. I was so hardcore thinking Ethan was this bad guy that the second time through I was like, well, maybe let's look at this another way. And I saw a couple of justifications for maybe why Ethan was doing what he was doing, or maybe a way for him to be not redeemed in the storyline, but redeemed in the viewer's eyes down the road.
Listen, if somebody, if he wants to help her in some way, shape, or form, tell the 45, 46 other people that she's with that you can help her. Don't hide and pretend that you're one of the wreck victims and then drag her off. For all we know, by her hair.
He could have handled it a little more tactfully, if I'm right, but
you are delusional.
Okay, so why don't you lay down some truth? Something not quite delusional is my point.
My point? Is that where we're going with that? Or do you want me to do... Okay, yes. My point. Locke, dude, you're getting creepier. Chill out, man. Okay, I think whenever the island showed itself to him, or whatever moment that was he had... He went off the deep end.
He can see through the matrix.
Something. Okay, I think he's lying about Ethan. I think he knew something was up, and it was a part of his connection with the island. I almost don't trust Locke right now.
Yeah,
I don't want to trust him.
I completely agree with that. I have a point about that later on.
Okay, well then that's all I'll say with that.
No, I mean you can keep talking.
No, okay. But he's so insistent on keeping the group of 4 together, but is leading them in the wrong direction, and is very adamant about leading them in that direction. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, all right, fine, you go your way, I'll go mine way, which is weird because nobody's allowed to go anywhere on their own. And then he tries to send Boone back on his own at night after the trail has already gone cold like a mile back.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
What are you doing there, dude? Like, I know hunting is good at night, but I don't think tracking after a freakish rainstorm, which how did he predict the rain? I can't stay in the rain. Sorry, lots of weird songs tonight.
Kiss the rain.
But no, like, he was just gonna send Boone back. Boone, he's a wedding planner. He's a wedding planner. He has no survival skills. He couldn't save the drowning woman. He couldn't save himself.
Well, I'll go ahead and bring up my point from later on here because I think it's very, very relevant. I think I agree with you. I think Locke knows a lot more than he's letting on at this point. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Locke's strategies. Okay, first of all, I love how Jack is leading with his heart. He's being driven by his heart and his feels. Where Locke is being logical. He's giving this sage, warrior-like advice, and Locke is he's thinking about the group, while Jack is thinking about when he says like, "Be the doctor, let me be the hunter." While Jack just doesn't want to fail, like he failed in the flashback.
I don't think he necessarily failed there, but that's okay.
But he feels like he failed. I think.
Yeah, I know that.
And I think that Locke gives in to Jack's kind of like primal emotions until he sees an opportunity to break away from it, which is why I think he had suspicions about the hatch, and I think he sent Jack and Kate down a cold trail so he could investigate those suspicions without them worrying about Charlie and Claire and getting in his way of his own mission. Like I think Locke was less. I think he figured that Charlie and Claire would be all right eventually, and he wanted to go off and do his own thing.
Okay, so that's why he was sending Boone away.
No. I think with Boone, I think he was just giving Boone one last chance to like duck out. And I have some thoughts about Boone's motivations in this episode later on. But, he was giving Boone one last chance to deck out. And then I feel like he threw the flashlight to intentionally hit that metal door in the ground, the hatch. I think he did that intentionally so he could be like, "Oh, look what I found. Weird." But I think Locke, I completely agree with you. I think Locke knows a lot more than he's letting on. And I think he's pushing forward with his own agenda, and he needs to be watched very carefully.
Yeah, but who's gonna watch him?
Who watches the Lockster?
Like, I don't understand, and I think I sort of jumped this in my own like notes here. How did he learn all of this? Like,
well, he was preparing to go on.
No, I'm aware of that. However, at the time he was in a wheelchair, so he was never able to do practical applications for it. How can he look at he feels the ground? Oh, this is a fresh track. No crap, it's a fresh track. We just found out it happened. It couldn't be more than an hour old anyway. Just based on timelines, because timelines are my thing.
Yeah, but I mean, he was he was living a very lonely life. He had his 9-to-5 job, and then he had no one else in his life, and he spent all of his time preparing to go on that walkabout. So I mean,
I still don't buy it.
And also, he used to be in a wheelchair. Now he's not. That might have bestowed upon him some extra juice to his academic knowledge of tracking and things like that. And who knows what he did in life before he got in the wheelchair, because he's only been in the wheelchair a few years, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe he was some sort of nature man or a hunter or something.
I don't
beforehand.
get that impression though.
But
He was a loser.
You wanted to talk a little bit more about Charlie's reaction after he wakes up, after Jack beats the crap out of him.
All they wanted was Claire. Mm-hmm. That's all he can say, Claire. All they wanted was Claire. And he just keeps staring, and it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I put. Let's see. Poor Charlie, not only is he dragged away trying to protect his friend, and he leaves a trail for the people at camp to follow, but then he gets hung in a tree. Literally hung. Also, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Ethan couldn't do that by himself with Charlie and pregnant Claire fighting him.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes me think there's either something supernatural or technological going on with Ethan.
There's something.
Well, either that or the others are helping him.
The others are helping him, yeah.
I did like that the way he put that all they wanted was Claire, though, implies that, yeah, the others were involved somewhat.
Well, see, what I was actually thinking, but until you brought up about the French woman and her child, was maybe the others don't have any women.
That could be.
And having a baby and a pregnant woman, I don't know, like, woman of childbearing age, and, they know she can. Like, that could be part of that motivation.
Maybe there's some sort of child slavery thing going on.
I don't know about child slavery thing.
Well, I mean, in some societies, it's ethical to...
Yeah, but then why is Walt still chilling? He's 10, as we've learned. He's not
Very
6,
true.
but 10.
Very true.
So, I don't think it's child slavery. It feels...
Because Locke taught him how to fight with a knife.
But, you know what I mean? Like, I think it has something... I mean, obviously it has something to do with the baby. Since we stabbed the baby. Somehow.
Yeah. Maybe they were just... It was just a little checkup, that's all.
No, it wasn't. Stop it. Let's see. What else does he know about why the island people wanted Claire? Because I refuse to call them the others. What did he see that put him so into shock? Like, was he tortured? Was Claire tortured? Like, what happened? Because Charlie has had a really, really rough time since coming to the island.
Yeah, and how far back does his lack of memory go? Does
he really have a lack of memory, or is he just not saying? Because I feel like a lack of memory would be completely different reaction.
I feel like he pushes himself to speak so he can let Jack know that he doesn't know anything helpful. So I feel like if he had to push himself to speak to say that and he knew something, he would just, unless they were like, if you tell Jack we're gonna kill Claire or something like that,
But that's the thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a valid point.
It's a very valid point. Or to Bebe. We could be threatening to kill the baby.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're not going to steal your children. We promise that. But we would like...
we would like to steal your money.
No, we would like a nice donation. Anne Marie, why don't you tell them about Patreon?
Or
we'll steal your children.
No.
See, I couldn't even say it properly.
No, you couldn't.
Or we'll steal your children. There we go. I said it better that time.
Okay, as we're trying to say, is we have a Patreon, which is a way for you to support all of our podcasts. Right now, we have 4 regularly scheduled podcasts. Greetings from Storybrooke, Legends of Gotham, We're So Lost, and Disney Pass Holder Project. That's a lot of podcasting. And this is just a way to sort of help us with what we need, some hosting, some web stuff, some new equipment, and, magic juice. It's necessary as I hit the mic. But anyway, Patreon, you can make a small donation starting at 10 cents monthly. You get free books. You get random presents from us. You get episodes early, like this one.
Definitely. And we want to thank the 27 people who are currently giving us $138.55 per month.
Did that change again?
It did change again because we just did for the month. But we love all of you. You're like family to us. If we could fit 27 people in our studio, we would have you all over.
27 people in our house.
Definitely. But we want to, if you want to join the proud, the few, the elite, patreon.com/universebox, and we'd love you forever. And the link will be in our show notes over at we'resolost.com too. But okay, so before we get back into the main discussion, as always, we have a lost expert
We do have a lost expert on the
at our
show.
disposal. He's actually one of the people who very much vocally encouraged us to do this show. And every week he calls in and let us know
Why we should still be watching.
why we should still be watching and what is special about this episode without spoilers, mostly. Okay, so Michael Lucero,
take it away.
Take it away.
I didn't watch the live video. I didn't hear the podcast. I don't remember anything. My voicemail. That's all Bill and Anne Marie wanted. All they wanted was my voicemail. Hey, Bill and Anne Marie, it's Michael.
Howdy.
This was actually an episode I used to dislike a lot the first few times I saw it.
Interesting.
Since Jack was originally never one of my favorite characters, but the more I watched it over the years, the more I've grown to realize it is all the things that actually are here in this episode. Even in Jack's own storyline, his basic essential character trait is his inability to let go, which can sometimes be a good thing, as we see here with Charlie. But most of the time it causes problems for him and others around him. And this flashback storyline is actually what Jack's mother meant in his first episode, White Rabbit, when she said, "Not after what you did." Mm-hmm. Well, this is what Jack did. He caused his father to lose his license. And I think that's ultimately what caused Christian to leave the States and go to Sydney, which caused Jack to go after him. But you'll actually learn more about that in a future season. So that's not all that's there to that story. So just keep watching. And it's interesting because I think Jack's obsessive nature in the island story not only mirrors his inability to let go of his father's indiscretions in the past, it also kind of mirrors his father's own obsessive impulses to practice medicine even when he knows he shouldn't.
I also thought it was interesting, Michael, sorry for interrupting you, but that both stories had Jack being like very concerned about the potential or the actual loss of a baby.
Yes.
I noticed that parallel too.
Well, I mean, that's what flipped him in the flashback.
Yeah.
Was the baby.
Exactly. Well, I think the husband was like half of a flip and then the baby was like full flip.
Oh, the baby was the full flip.
Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
It's kind of what defines his father, this need to do things and save people. And I think Jack and Christian are a lot more alike than I think either one of them likes to admit. I think it's interesting that when the hunting party splits up, it does so in the way that it does. Jack goes off to be the hero, rescuing Charlie, fighting Ethan. He gets to do everything in the main A story, but Locke isn't merely reduced to some meaningless B story. He goes off to explore island mysteries, and in doing so, he ends up finding something in the jungle that will begin to reveal another of Lost's core mythological components. Oh. So what the metal thing is in the ground, that will have serious implications for the show going forward, especially in future seasons. And also serious implications for certain characters as well, namely Locke and Boone originally. And it almost seems in this episode as if something is guiding Locke away from the hunt and towards the metal thing.
If Locke and Boone had a shipping name, would it be Loone?
Yes.
He seems to have some sort of spiritual connection to the island, which we see also in his ability to predict the weather as well. And this is one of my favorite things about him. By the way, there is a small continuity error in this episode, too. When Locke and Boone find the metal thing, which I wish I could go ahead and use the name that they use for it in the show, but you'll just have to...
I already did the hatch. Is what they call it. Sorry.
Wait. It's right beside a creek in this episode, but in future episodes, when they return to the metal thing, that creek is actually nowhere to be found.
Interesting.
I love the humor in this episode, too. Sawyer and Walt's conversation. The line about Sawyer getting the evening news from a 6-year-old. I love that. Also, Walt's game with Hurley, the backgammon game. There were 2 clues there about both characters' pasts. So just a little tease about future episodes. So while this still isn't my favorite episode of Season 1, I'd still rate it fairly high. Probably, I'd say 2,249 out of 2,812 of Charlie's lettered knuckled strips. As always, thank you, namaste, and good luck.
Namaste.
Thank you very much, Michael. I also noticed in the backgammon scene that the pieces they were playing with, and I think this is true in all backgammon games, were black and white. Michael told us to watch out for black and white contrast. a few episodes back, and so I just noticed that. That's all.
So you did.
I did.
You did what you were told.
I did. Okay.
Good.
Now, Michael talked a bit about Jack's dad, and I had some thoughts about Jack's dad too, and how it relates to Jack's psyche. Okay, Jack's dad reminds me of Kate.
Okay, please elaborate.
Okay, so he's charismatic like Kate. He's able to manipulate people to do what he wants them to do, just like we've seen Kate do in her flashback and in the modern day. Mm-hmm. You know, we see him very easily convince Jack to help him hide his mistake by telling Jack what he wants to hear. Mm-hmm. You know, what he's probably been waiting his whole life to hear. You know, in fact, from what we've seen in the flashback, and in this episode, he's basically been manipulating Jack to do what he wants his entire life. You know, so maybe this similarity with Kate is why Jack is so forgiving with her, considering her past and what he knows about her. And maybe he thinks he might be able to turn her around, where by the time he had the power and the personal strength to do it, he couldn't help his father. His father was already down the hole a little too far for help from Jack. Now, I was also wondering if this whole dynamic with his father and this whole situation that happened with his father is why Jack was so reluctant to be a leader. Like Michael was saying, you know, it seems like there's a lot of similarities there. Maybe because he saw how his dad handled power in this situation where he killed the pregnant woman by being drunk. Maybe he's afraid he'll end up abusing the power of leader within the group, just like his dad did. So that'll be something that I'm sure will play out as we keep going down through the series, the season, series, etc. Side note. And this was a little theory I had. We'll see if it pays off once we get Jack's third flashback, because I'm sure there'll be another one this season, because he's the main character. But do you think Jack lost his medical license since, like his dad mentioned, that he'd be in trouble too because he was the physician of record when the whole thing went down?
No.
You don't? Because I remember earlier in the season, I had suspicions that maybe Jack wasn't quite the doctor we thought he was.
No, but he was definitely a doctor.
So we got it confirmed in this episode that he was a licensed doctor, a well-respected licensed doctor at some point. I'm wondering if maybe he, as a result of all this and his involvement, maybe he gets his license taken away and he's no longer a doctor by the time the crash happens.
I don't think he necessarily lost his license. He may have been suspended, especially for not coming forward originally. I feel like because of, you know, the allegations and everything he was taking against his father, and he was bringing those up, that I don't think he lost. You know, his whole reason for stepping in at all was to try and save the woman.
Yeah.
And from his dad, who was drunk and operating.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think he lost his license.
I know my limits, son.
Whoa. Wait. I know my limits.
Okay, so we had a reunion between two much beloved but not beloved between each other characters this weekend that you wanted to talk about, right?
I love the exchange between Sawyer and Saeed. Saeed. You can see that Sawyer wants to get back at Saeed for the torture. Once Walt tells him, "Hey, you know, Saeed came back," and blah 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 blah, and he's like, "He's back!" Like, haha, he failed.
Guess who's
and he's
back?
Back again. No, stop it there. But once he hears like about the French woman and how she killed the crew and how thought they were sick and there's noises in the jungle, he sort of backs off a little. He's like, okay, we need to, I think it's sort of like between that and Charlie and Claire disappearing, like he's getting all this news from being his, you know, hermit self on the beach.
Well, I definitely felt like Sawyer is no longer Sawyer Seidel, and he's more he's more prone to he just wants to be part of the group and in with things, or at least,
but he has to get there,
at least liked by the group. And I think if nothing else,
or not hated.
I felt like he came to Saeed just to mess with him a little bit and be like, "Hey, bro,
we're good.
I could totally lay into you right now. You're laying here completely powerless. I'm not going to do it," to hopefully earn some brownie points for later on.
2 weeks in a row with brownie points.
Yeah.
Let's see, but I think we finally see Sawyer starting to grow and acclimate to the community on the island. Last week with Hurley and this week with Walt and Saeed. I still think he's a complete jerk, but he might just be tolerable now.
Might just be.
Might just be.
Well, that means you're right.
Go to point above. Okay.
Yes. Oh, because I talked about this point earlier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so next up, I wanted to talk about, the thing. People want to help.
People want to help.
Everybody wants to help on this island.
Everybody wants to
that's nice,
help.
though. Yeah, but I noticed a lot of people striving to be helpful in this episode. First of all, we get Boone, right? Mm-hmm. Boone has been useless his entire life, or at least that's the impression that I get. He inherited his career from
His mama.
Marriage Martha Stewart mommy.
Yeah.
And he even admits in this episode that literally anybody else could step into the job he has and it really wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's ready to do something important with his life. And he goes with Locke to try and do this. Joins the rescue party to try and do this.
He keeps volunteering for these rescue missions.
Yeah,
This is not the first thing he's been involved in. It's like the fourth.
But his sister is still reluctant. I think she's still very much happy just coasting along. Although the fact that her brother's kind of missing now, might be her call to action. I guess we'll see. But as well as Boone, both Walt and Michael want to help too. Mm-hmm. But Locke sends Michael on a wild goose chase to the south, furthering the animosity between them. I think he does it because he realizes part of Michael's motivations are wanting to come off as a better man than Locke in front of his son. He realizes that Michael isn't doing this because he wants to help so much as he wants to be the good guy in front of his son. And he wants to be better than Locke in his son's eyes.
Well, there's that. I don't think he necessarily sends him on a wild goose chase.
Uh-huh.
What he says is, well, we're going north, so you might as well go south. It was up to Michael and his group of 5 guys or whatever to follow that advice. Like, they made a conscious choice to go in that direction. It wasn't Locke going, now you go this way and we'll go that. Like, it didn't feel quite that much of a push. It was just like, well, we're going this way, so you go that way if you want to go, like... But they're this way.
Well, it felt a little like a parent being like, hey, son, go play in the backyard while Daddy sits here. Daddy and his friends have their cake, it felt like a parent being like, oh, let's get the kids doing something else so we can do the important stuff.
Yes, because the keg is the important stuff.
But I wonder, I'm wondering. Why is Michael so distrustful of Locke? And I think it's because Walt is starting to look to Locke as a father figure to, kind of take the place of his old dad that he mentions in this episode.
Brian.
And Michael does not like that at all because he's trying to become the new father figure. But, all these people who want to help, the common thread, of course, is Locke. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Locke's taking people who, in their heart of hearts, want to become more than they are. Mm-hmm. And he's guiding them. He's training them. He's the Yoda. He's the Obi-Wan. He's the Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
He's building John Locke's army. And I wonder what he's training them for and where this is all going to lead. And I can't wait to find out.
Apparently it's leading to a metal hatch.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like this is a thread that's going to pay off a season or 2 down the road.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like this is the start of it. And if you're a helper, if you want to help, John Locke's got your back, and he's going to show you how to do it. So people like to help. Helping is helpful.
Helping is helpful.
Helping is helpful.
Okay. Who's been hiding this backgammon game for like a month and a half now? Like, they were so excited about golf, which apparently everybody forgot about. Mm-hmm. And now we suddenly have backgammon. I was like, oh, precious. Yay, we have board games. But this scene gave us a bit of insight into Walt's backstory as well as Hurley's, which was nice to get, something from Hurley and Walt because they're interesting people. We just don't know why yet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who knew that Hurley would be a backgammon whiz and finish 17th in a competition?
Which is pretty good.
I mean,
who knows how many people were in that competition?
25, but it's okay.
I was going to say if it was like 300 people.
Right. That's
17th
pretty darn
is
good.
pretty good. Yeah.
Right. But it showed us that he does have like a competitive nature, and we haven't really seen that too much on the island. He's just sort of been like doing what needs done, doing what he can do, trying to make people happy. And then Walt gives us a glimpse into his pre-island life by talking about his dad, Brian, saying
His other dad.
how he was always the luckiest person he knew. Okay, so here's my questions about Brian. Did he die when Walt's mom died? Maybe not. Who knows?
I felt a little resentfulness coming off Walt to where, okay.
That would be. Or, being the biological dad, did Michael have more rights than Brian, even though he's the one who raised Walt? So Walt had to go to live with Michael, which would explain why they don't really get along.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. Like, there was some animosity there. Like, you took me from
my happy place,
and I didn't want to be here, and now I'm stuck with the sucky dad kind
on
of
an
thing.
island.
Yeah.
At least he has his dog.
But at least there's a guy with a knife.
There's a guy with knives.
Speaking of his dog, I wonder, did he know for a fact that his dog was trained to do like tracking and stuff like that? Because I think you have to train a dog to do that. You can't just give him a
He's
sock
10,
or
though.
something. Yeah,
but
that's
he's 10.
true. Very true.
You know, he doesn't really, he's just trying. He's doing what he can do.
Yeah.
And he really wants to help more than like probably anybody else on the island, but he's 10. So he can't.
Very true. Okay, Anne
Or
Marie.
can he?
Or can he?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't give them an option, no, they'll never be able to help. Anyway, continue.
Well, Locke's training him.
On the slide.
It's the eye of the tiger. It's the lock of the lock. Anne Marie. See, time for the arbitrary scale.
Okay, please leave off that last. I don't like this scale at all. I don't like it at all.
Out of 14 Charlies hanging in a tree, Kissing. How many Charlies do you give this episode? There's a lot of Lord of the Rings fans who will be very happy with that image.
Wow. Okay.
If I know Lord of the Rings fans.
I don't. 11?
11?
11?
Why?
Because Charlie almost died. And we had more Jack, and I don't really like Jack that much. I mean, he was important. He did his thing. It was nice to get that little bit of closure to his backstory. But
Something we didn't mention. I really liked when Boone said, "Are we lost?"
Oh.
I wrote it down in my notes. Are we lost? All capitals.
Nice. No, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I mean, it was good. I can see why Michael said this isn't necessarily his favorite, but I felt like this was a bit of a game changer episode. Lots of things happened, and it was one of the first episodes that actually picked up exactly where the last episode left off.
Yeah, and last episode kind of established the threat, and then this episode fleshes it out a bit more. So
Right. Yes.
okay, and as for me, I'm gonna,
Yes.
you know what? I'm gonna give it the exact same rating as you.
Oh.
11 Charlies hanging in a tree. Kissing. Really liked it. A lot of action. Some super creepy stuff going on. I liked. Did you notice that they referenced red shirts, which I talked about?
I actually
a few
wrote
episodes
that
back?
down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lot of nice little bits. I enjoyed the Jack backstory. Getting that a little bit more fleshed out.
Sorry, I heard Jack's back and I twitched.
But I really enjoyed it overall. It wasn't the best episode. It wasn't the worst, but it was very necessary.
Yeah, exactly. It served a purpose.
Yeah.
And it pushed us forward to where we need. It got us over a hump.
Yes, definitely.
Tried to
I
do
just hope they go back to the golf course next week. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now we don't have any feedback this week besides the feedback that Michael sends us every week. But if you want to send feedback to react to what we've said, to react to a future episode, if you want to talk about episode 12.
If you have a favorite episode coming up, please talk about it.
Yeah, write an essay about it. We'll read it.
Give 'em
Definitely.
something to talk about.
Email us, we're so lost podcast @gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com/we're so lost. The Twitter's @we're so lost. And the
voicemail number?
Voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. And again, if you could, take 2 seconds, go over to iTunes, search for We're So Lost or Universe Box, find the podcast, give us a quick rating. You don't have to write a review.
Nope, you just give the stars.
But if you do write a review, we'll read it on the show. definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Anne-Marie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at DeSimone, and well, I'm constantly posting and retweeting all the things that I do. So, there's that.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Bill Meeks. You can follow all of the podcasts we do at universebox.com. And you can check out our new show, Disney Pass Holder Project, at
DisneyPassholderProject.wordpress.com. But by the time this comes out, hopefully it'll have a real website.
which that website, or just follow it at Disney Pass Proj.
Disney Pass Proj.
On Twitter.
You can only put so much on Twitter.
Yeah, only so many characters.
Only so many characters.
You know what else has so many characters?
Huh?
This show, Lost. And you know what? It makes both of us feel like
we're so lost. I don't really know why I bust out the mouse ears.
We did it.
We did it. We did it. We did it. Yay!
All right, folks. Have a good night.
If there's anybody out there in TV land.
If there's anybody out there.